My first experiences out here were in the early 80s when I was in Husker Du. And Husker Du was loosely and then definitely affiliated with SST Records. It was Greg Ginn and Chuck Dukowski who were the guitarist and bass player for Black Flag. You know, they ran the company with a fellow named Joe Carducci. And I sort of remember that it was tough over here. The Police had problems with the SST bands. It was an independent label that, you know, sort of sold rebellion, you know, sold a very anti-police state type of visual and music. I just remember a lot of nights in Hollywood and West Hollywood where the police were in the air with their searchlights, you know, sort of raiding and pushing and moving things around. And you know, that was, I guess, the early hardcore days.
Landing on the edge of the Hoover Avenue. I'm on a center line, right between two things of mine. And if the wind from the traffic should blow me away, oh, now.
You know, the Police were pretty heavy-handed in LA in the early 80s with punk rock and with music, and SST really stuck it back at them. You know, so it was very confrontational. It wasn't all glitz and glamour. It was actually a pretty crazy time. Because of Husker Du's connections and you know, with New Alliance Records, which was the Minutemen's label, and with SST, which was, you know, again, that was a South Bay label, really. I guess it was more Los Angeles. I mean, that's really where we were. You know, we were sort of LA based as far as our business stuff. I mean, we would tour the East Coast as well, and Minneapolis was our, you know, home at the time. So that was that always felt like home. But you know, Southern California was real strong for us. I mean, there was a lot of, you know, crazy shows, even like Olympic Auditorium shows. The whole SST family was, you know, Black Flag, Minutemen, Saccharine Trust, Meat Puppets, Sonic Youth. So I mean, that's a lot of that's a few.
We'll send there's music in the air. I heard your voice coming from somewhere, but look how much we've grown, yeah. I guess I should have known, yeah.
Making music now and you know, sort of thinking about how it's going to impact people, it's entirely different. The work was always recorded to sound right on vinyl. You know, CDs came in at the tail end of the Husker Du stuff, 86 and 87. And I didn't really pay much attention to it at the time. You know, it was how it sounded on an album and, you know, how it fit on a cassette. You know, when you sequenced the two sides of an album, you always were conscious of the time being sort of equivalent, so that the tape didn't have like 4 minutes of blank somewhere on it. You know, those are sort of bygone artifacts of creating popular music. You know, the artwork, obviously, you had a lot more room to work with. You know, you were working with you know, with like almost like a large, you know, small piece of art, large portrait kind of thing, as opposed to, you know, now it's really a postage stamp. You know, you're trying to create a postage stamp icon that might look good if you got it really big and close. The ritual of it is lost on a lot of people. The idea of going to a record store and walking out with this physical object that you just can't like stick in your pocket or, you know, download onto your iPod. I mean, it was something that was 12 and a half inches square that you had to be careful with.
Well, I see a little light, now. Sitting right, I know you still care. Want me to gather you to say, sound, yeah, now.